welcome to another episode of Lost in the Script TV, episode 219. Erase Me. How y'all doing? Hope you had a good week as always, as stress-free as possible. We got some stuff to get to. It seems like the straw finally broke the camel's back, and some of these things we're gonna get to today. Made it to another Black History Month. What up, Mark? Caribbean History Month is June and African History Month is September. They confused by that. That ain't working for them no more. They trying to change it up. We're gonna get to it though. We're gonna get to all of it. Anyway, man, thank y'all for coming through and stopping by. Hopefully we have a good show. I'm gonna be honest, this probably shouldn't be the longest show. It's only a few things I want to get to today. So this might be under 2 hours. I don't know. But I'm going to get right to it. Hold on. We're going to get to these topics. These people say belongs to everybody. Mark says, what up? They can kiss my ass. But they fighting. They fighting it. And it just keep on growing. And there's something else that happened today that's going to piss people off even more, but we're going to get to it. We're going to get to it. All right, let's go ahead and start. Let's get it. Let's kick it off. 1 century of honoring Black History Month. Happy 100 Black History Month. 100 of them things. This is the 100 Black History Month. A lot of stuff going on. I want to show this one in particular because I like the way they did this. I ain't gonna lie, they kind of killed with this. I want to show this page here. This is Black Lives Matter Black History Month 100. Hold on, y'all. I'm sorry. Let me get to it. But yeah, if you see right here, Black History Month 100 is a national initiative marking the century of honoring Black history by imagining the next 100 years. As I said, 2026 marks the 100 years since Carter G. Woodson launched Negro History Week. And a lot of debate started somehow off of this. But as you can see here, they went through how it came to be. Obviously, Negro History Week, 1858, Crispus Attucks Day is Organized under Boston abolitionist William Cooper Nell alongside fellow Black organizers. Revive a memory of Attucks with a citywide commemoration on March 5th, linking Black sacrifice to the nation's founding story. And then you see went to 1865, Juneteenth, freedom made public, community made lasting. Then Frederick Douglass Day, 1897. 1915, the Association of the Study Negro Life and History is founded. 1926, that's when we see Negro History Week begins. And in 1937, Negro History Bulletin is launched. 1976, Black History Month is nationalized and nationally recognized as a holiday. So once again, happy Black History Month. Now, it should have been just that. This should have been the first week or two of the month. Normally people spend that time talking about the achievements of Black thinkers and inventors and creatives, entertainers, intellects. But unfortunately, day one started with something totally different, and I don't get it. This has been really a thing since for the last couple of years. Not something that should be taken it as a real hardcore debate, because a lot of these people are fishing for engagement. I'm gonna get to that. The question became somehow, literally first day of Black History Month, first week. Is Black History Month about Black Americans, or ADOSFBA, what you want to call them specifically, or is it a celebration of Blackness worldwide? That became the debate. That became the conversation. I don't get it. We have all these other months in America in particular that celebrate other cultures, but for some reason, everybody want a piece of Black History Month. The same thing happened when you talk about globally. The other countries celebrated different months. I think in the UK it's September or something. In Canada, they also celebrate theirs in February, but it also makes sense considering a lot of Black Americans ended up in Canada. Mark said it's also about protecting our history and heritage. That was the point of it. That was the point of it. You know, what started as a corrective to erase Black history they are now trying to expand it globally, you know, or has it? So the question, like I said, is it just for Black Americans or is it for worldwide? It's clearly a holiday meant for a particular demographic, Black Americans in particular. This shouldn't even be a thing, but it is. But I want to show this. Last week, I showed y'all a clip of this dude, Dante Kyle. I think that's his name, from the Grits and Eggs podcast. He's had a rise in last year when he went viral for some of his comments. He also had a lot of fall when he said certain things, his opinion on certain things, considering when it comes to like Black men and accountability. He lost a lot of people. People felt like he was pandering. That's your opinion. But last week, I think maybe a week for last, he had his rant that went viral where he was talking about FBA saying they ain't doing it in the streets, and in his defense of the I Show Speed Africa tour, because he said there was too many people finding a way to go online and talk crazy about Africans or other Black people. But the second Black History Month kicks off, he has a rant now that goes completely against what he just said. So let me play what he said here.
During Black History Month, we also aren't going to mix up the medicine. 5 years ago, 10 years ago, it's Poppy No Black. Now during Black History Month, I'm seeing a trend of everybody from across the diaspora wanting this to be about them. This is about Black Americans' history in America, okay? We're not going to All Lives Matter Black History Month. We're not going to do that. Black History Month originated from Negro History Week, established in February 1926 by historian Carter G. Woodson and the Association for the Study of African American Life and History, to coincide with the birthdays of Abraham Lincoln and Frederick Douglass. It expanded to a full month in 1976, officially recognized by President Gerald Ford. Now let's take it a step forward. President Gerald Ford officially recognized Black History Month in 1976, urging Americans to seize the opportunity to honor the too often neglected accomplishments of Black Americans. Full stop. We're not going to be ahistorical. We're not going to erase our contribution. We're not going to erase our bloodshed. We're not going to erase the things that we built. We're not going to All Lives Matter this shit. If you have an issue with Black Americans being centered after the sacrifices, the bloodshed that we used to build this fucking country.
Oh, man.
The inventions that make your life, everyday life, easier.
Oh, so many inventions.
And the civil rights movement, which allowed you to come over here with the rights that you enjoy now. We're not going to erase Black Americans' history. We're not going to dilute Black Americans' history by lumping everybody in. This is Black History Month for and about the history, achievements, contributions, and just the collective history of Black Americans here in this country.
It's funny. He said a lot of things that are connected to a lot of storylines going on right now. That word dilution. He used the word we built this. He used we built this country. There's a whole lot of storylines going on right now where those things are being attacked, repurposed. As he said last week about these people having this desire. And I don't like using this term because it's associated with a certain demographic, but replace. Well, we got to get into it. What up, Craig? Oh, brother, this guy stinks. What up, Kiefer? But here he spoke facts. This is obviously the truth. This is very easy, low. This is low level. Obviously, we shouldn't even be debating this. What is this about? Because it's not a debate. You know, these type of things are kind of pointless arguments and stuff. And I want to start with this. These people asking for permission online to celebrate Black History Month, that's performative. That's silly. In reality, this is just a discussion on who this month is supposed to be centered around. You getting online talking about, I'm Jamaican, can I celebrate Black History Month? That's silly. Like, what are we doing here? This is all just meant to be some type of engagement bait. These people are trying to just draw numbers and just get people to talk to them, I guess. It's stupid. That's dumb. But as I always say, the internet made everybody Black. So now there is zero Black American cultural distinction with these people. To them, it's just everybody does it. I'm gonna get to that later because last week, I want to say a few weeks ago, I mentioned that somebody made this point. An Asian man made a point about that Black American culture will not exist in 100 years. That was an Asian man that said that. And now it's not just him that's regurgitating that nonsense. So let me play this right here.
Black History Month is for all Black people everywhere, all Black people in America everywhere. Then why did the Black African diaspora do this? Why did they go to Congress and ask for September to be designated as African Diaspora Heritage Month? See? 2025, to direct the president to designate a month as African Diaspora Heritage Month. As you can see, it was introduced January 30th, 2025. The subject and policy area is what? Is what? Immigration. Immigration. You know why? Because Black History Month is for Black Americans who are not immigrants.
And as Mark started us with about how you already have a Caribbean History Month. You already have attempt at an African History Month. What is the point of trying to shoehorn everybody into Black History Month? February, it's the shortest month. It shouldn't even be a big deal because you should be learning and teaching about this stuff year long, obviously. But it's the principle, ain't it? It's just the principle of it. Mark says, where Godfrey at? He'll come out at some point, I'm sure. But I want to show this to make the point. You see this right here? Voto Latino. This Black History Month, we celebrate Celia Cruz, the Afro-Cuban queen of salsa, who broke barriers, honored her roots, and made the world dance. It is a sound. Her legacy continues to inspire generations. And as you can imagine, the comments was exactly what you expect. A bunch of people pointing out that she's not Black American. Now, this is a good point they're making, because what's the point of celebrating her? And I get it. She made music that was considered pro-Black or whatever. But what is the point of celebrating her in Black History Month? And then when Hispanic Heritage Month comes, you're going to do it again. I mean, I would hope so. You would celebrate her because she's not Black. She's Hispanic. She's Cuban. And I saw a lot of people making the point that she was Haitian, and somebody pointed out she is not Haitian. She simply grew up with somebody who was Haitian around her, so it inspired her throughout her career. What is the point of giving these people these months or these days or whatever to celebrate themselves, to separate everybody, to have their identities represented, and then when February comes around, everybody Black? Everybody Black then. They could have, no matter what culture they comes from, what country their family came from, it don't matter what year they came here. Everybody's Black. And if you say they're not Black, you're the coon. As I said last week, the dude who left the Panthers and now he creating his whole Black Lions thing, he said that Black nationalism is racism. Black nationalism is akin to racism. But anyway, Kiefer says double dipping. Yeah, it's that double minority talk. Not only am I Hispanic, I'm Black also. I'm a double minority. All right, man. So the people obviously responded to that as you expected. And it is what it is, but like I said, it's one of those things where it shouldn't be addressed. It shouldn't need to be addressed like this. I feel like it's just online banter. It's just people just looking for something to talk about. It shouldn't be taken that serious, because in the real world, I can't even say that. I was about to say, I can't even say that because I've seen examples in the real world where it's affecting real life celebrations and who's being represented in this month. You talk about the school system, when you talk about when you just go out into the world and you see what's being put up as Black history and who's been celebrated and represented. Some of these people ain't Black American. They just throwing anybody in the list. Like, they don't give a damn. Anybody can be represented. And you see these same people that spent decades separating, making sure it's understood how proud they are of their lineage and their heritage and their family, their parents. And we're gonna get to that proud, how that pride drops when they have an opportunity to get access. When they get a chance to get access, all of a sudden they don't have no pride no more. They're okay with flat Blackness existing. Matter of fact, they demand it. But anyway, let's move on to a quick topic. I'm not gonna stay on long. right? I'm not gonna stay on this long. Do I have a? Yeah, I do. All right. The Grammys. Bad Bunny, Kendrick Lamar, and more artists whose wins made history at the 2026 Grammy Awards. I start by saying congratulations, I guess, to Kendrick Lamar with the most Grammys for a rapper in history. Shout out to the Clips for getting their first Grammy. I'm only congratulating them because they clearly care about the Grammys. And I saw a lot of people having opinions about it and stuff. And hey, it is what it is, man. I think people they don't understand that when it comes to these white award shows and them celebrating anything black art, that could be the Oscars, Grammys, any one of these platforms. They typically take the person who, to be honest with you, we decide what sound or what form we want to be represented as. When it comes to the Oscars, we didn't like that Halle Berry got the award for that. We didn't like that Denzel got the award for that. We don't like that Stephen Fetch and all the people back then, the Mammies got the awards back then, first awards for their acting. Like, we don't like the representation, so we'll say we don't like you awarding that. So they typically choose the person who y'all decide is the best representation as far as the sound, as far as the content. That was Jay-Z at one point, that was Kanye at one point, and now it's Kendrick. Now, another point I want to make about this Grammy is I'm going to get to the political aspect, how everybody became, like every award show, it's all meant to have these celebrities get on stage and tell people what to think. But I want to just mention this right here. Where's she at? Olivia Dean. How many UK, how many of these British artists are coming over, and how many British R&B acts, particularly female, have come over in the last 5 years? It's been a lot. It's been a lot going on with the UK R&B scene. I know people have been talking about how American R&B is in the down right now, and it doesn't have the same sound. But I want to give a shout out to a person, Omarion. Yes, Omarion. Because I remember when Omarion went on the Joe Budden podcast last year, he was asked about that. What do you think about the British or the people overseas coming over doing R&B and being celebrated so much? And he was like, shout out to them, but they doing something we already did. They're taking the sounds we did in the 90s and the early 2000s, and they're just redoing it, and it's nostalgia. He basically sunned them. Like, hey, how we can't be intimidated or feel anything towards these people. All they're doing is doing what we used to do. Like, okay, shout out to y'all, but we on the other thing. We already did this sound. We already did this. So shout out to him. But it is a certain particular look and sound that's being celebrated from overseas. I know a lot of people say they like some of the music and how it sounds good and it sounds like the R&B they like. And I say, yeah, well, they're copying what your artist already did. But anyway, moving on. I got to get to the other parts of this. Obviously, they all went on stage speaking on ICE and how they don't celebrate it and saying fuck ICE and all this other stuff. And we're going to get to the big moment that led to a backlash for at least one of these people. But speaking of awards, I gotta do something right quick. I'm gonna interrupt this to do something right quick. Hold on. All right, I gotta do this right quick. So, I gotta do this right quick. J. Cole's The Fall Off. I'm sure y'all know, if y'all listen to any hip hop, that rapper J. Cole released was assumed to be, what he's saying may be, his final album, The Fall Off. I don't know if there's nominative determinism. I don't know if there's I don't know if that's a uronym. I don't know if that's a aptronym. I don't know. But the title and the reactions being mixed kind of is funny to me. And I got to make a point with this. When people are considered conscious rappers, it requires them to have experiences and skill. I see a lot of people saying that this album sounds like study music, that it doesn't have the passion they thought it would have, and it's a double disc. One side is meant to represent him at 29, the other's at 39, and the concept album and all this other stuff. And he's telling all these stories about the things he been through and witnessed and heard and all this other stuff. And keep in mind, I'm a person who I obviously listen very much. I'm a fan of the J. Cole's music. Grew up out of Fayetteville, North Carolina. I'm right there. I come from the town right next to him, Holt County. So seeing him become a rapper and become big, I remember back in the day, 2009, 10, 11, in my hometown, it was always this whole, J. Cole and Drake, who was being pushed as the darling in the industry. So I remember those great debates. I remember the warm-up. I remember Friday Night Lights. I remember Cold World, Born Center. I remember, obviously, Forest Hill Drive because of his best album. For Your Eyes Only, KOD, Off Season. I've listened to all this. But unfortunately, this album has put him in the crosshairs and really kind of proved a lot of people's points of their criticism of him. J. Cole is bread and water. It'll get the job done to fill you up, but there's no bells and whistles. And given the other options, you probably would choose something else. He's better with other people's sauce. He had the same criticisms as the NBA player Kevin Durant, which I don't agree with the criticism against him either, but it fits. KD can score very well, one of the best ever. Cole can rap very well, one of the best ever. Consistent. KD, he can win some chips with you. J. Cole can drop an album, no features, and sell $1 million, do $1 million, and go platinum, should I say. No features. But he's better in someone else's system. The feature run he had changed everybody's opinion of him. It went from jokes about the folding clothes song to, him being boring, to people praising his rapping ability. This album is obviously an ode to the South. North Carolina, obviously the James Taylor sample at the beginning of Intro 29, and obviously Fayetteville in particular. His inspirations like Common, 36 Mafia, Tupac, Biggie, did a lot of interpolations of songs all over the album. This is basically him. It's all the things that inspired him. But the problem is, it is him. It's his production. It's his writing. It's his marketing. It's his sound. It's not bad. 1 out of 10, I can't give it a 7. I'm stuck between if I would give it an 8 or a 6. I can't give it a 7. I don't know which one I would give it. I don't know. And most people are calling it anticlimactic. This is not a review of the album. I just listened to it. It's just my initial reaction to it. And the reason why I'm saying this is because across this album, for the first time, I've heard him make a bunch of I'm mixed bars. When he said the best rapper, the best nigga with the mic came from a white mom. When he said they gonna respect this mulatto nigga. I don't think I've ever heard him speak this way on an album. Maybe just him being vulnerable about how he actually feels and how he thinks people treats him. But I can't help but think that it has to do with something that happened 2 years ago and the reactions people had to that other dude and how he feel like some of those things can be said about him. But who knows? Album, maybe people will see it grow on him. Maybe it'll grow on me. It's not a review of the album. I just felt like I had to say this because I really am a fan of his music, and I'm a bit disappointed. But we'll see. Shout out to him, and hopefully people enjoy the fall off. Now, hold on. I got to get to the main thing I wanted to get to today. Hold on. Oh, this is second the main thing. So back to the Grammys, or better yet, who was a part of the Grammys. Let me show this. Marcia, good review. Thanks, man. Thanks. Bad Bunny. The historical reasons. This is the root. I know. The historical reasons black folks are rooting for Bad Bunny's Super Bowl halftime show. This, you can't listen to the root when it comes to stuff they saying like this, because I think most people are looking at the halftime show as a possibility. Maybe it'd be fun because they can dance. Like I said, I've never listened to his music. until I was on 2K like a couple months ago, and I heard some Spanish songs. I'm like, who is this? Who is these? Why they keep making these songs? I don't know what they're saying. And I look and I found out what his songs sound like, and I realized he sounds like a trap artist. He sounds like a dude doing trap in Spanish, and I realized why he was so popular. Like, oh, that makes sense. But he's doing the halftime show, and there's especially considering I haven't really felt any hype. I haven't felt any real hype for the Super Bowl. It could be because you could say that the Seattle Seahawks and the Patriots ain't really got a real star on their roster. They obviously got great players. They obviously made the Super Bowl, but they don't have anybody that can drive a storyline through one person, really. So maybe that's why it's not a lot of talk about it. But because of that, people have been speaking about him more. And you know, the main demographic that's been kicking his back in are the white people. I guess you could say the Trump supporters. I won't say all. Maybe some of them will like it. Keeper said his music is trash. Craig says black people rooting. No, they're not. You know, the root is going to do the root. They're going to do what they do. They've gotten a little bit better since they came under new ownership, but they still going to do the BS. So in this article, they try to make the point that black people support Bad Bunny because Puerto Ricans have African ancestry. And I said, this is a terrible time to say that considering the politics is in the air. I could tell you're not paying attention. And then they said it's because of shared interests, political interests. And I said, well, what is that? Bad Bunny said that the reason why he don't tour in America is because he's afraid that ICE is going to come up to his shows and arrest a whole bunch of people. I don't know if that stance goes along with black people necessarily. And in the midst of this, the white people, they're hosting their own halftime show. I think Kid Rock and some other performers are going to go and do the halftime show while competing with him. I'm very interested in what those numbers are going to be. If they can pull in a couple million people, even if they're not going to compete with this show, obviously, but if they compete with the Super Bowl and just get a couple million people to come over, that'll be very that'll be telling. And then this question. Most black people in this country have no history with immigrants in this country, or shall I say, especially Spanish people. Like I said, growing up, I knew some Mexicans, but I didn't know anybody from the Caribbean, any Caribbean country. And growing up in the South and North Carolina, I just never met, I never met these people. So as far as the political stances, not very connected. Now, the question becomes, why do they feel like black people must co-sign everybody else's movement? And I've said this before, it's because you're considered the world's ultimate victims. You're the people that everybody look at and is constantly reminded of what happened to you. People say the same in Washington. Yeah, I mean, everybody is constantly reminded of what happened to you. So they use you as a comparison for themselves. Everybody. And I got proof of it every day. You see people of all backgrounds, when something happened to them. Man, I've been in forums. I've been in comment sections. I've been in all over social media. It could be somebody in Uzbekistan. It could be somebody in Iran. It could be somebody in China. It could be somebody in Ukraine. And they could be talking about something that's happening to a particular group of people, and they'll say, just like black Americans. People barely speak English, right? So you have to be the person that co-signed it, because you bring a sense of belief to what's happening to them. People actually believe it. Why is black American representation always negotiable? It took Jay-Z getting put in that position, and we don't want to give him the credit for nothing, but it's the truth, for them to actually put black people back in the halftime show after Michael Jackson did it the first time. It took a black person coming in and negotiating. It took George Floyd getting killed and them deciding the NFL wanted to paint themselves as more liberal and right in the end zone, stop racism and stuff. It took that for them to hire Jay-Z to put more black acts in the middle of halftime. You always gonna negotiate for your representation, but everybody else can just leech off of what happened to you. Mark says, always say black and, but never the other way around. Oh yeah, every article, black and brown, black and Asian. They make sure they specify when stuff is particularly for them. But it's always been that way. If you get in, they have to get in. they're always expected to be the face. We always expected to be the face of the rainbow movement, whether it's civil rights, any type of entertainment movement. Look at hell, even something as small as movie representation. I talk about all the time. Black Panther came out, and you had a whole bunch of Spanish people saying, "Where's our Black Panther?" Look at Miles Morales. You see the Spanish people trying to make them cast a Spanish person as that the Black Spider-Man character, even though everything about him is African American. His whole storyline is built off of that, but we need to make sure people know that he's his mother's Spanish or whatever. But unity versus relevance becomes the real debate when they need your unity in order to be relevant. But it is what it is. Then I got to get to this right here. Shaboozey addresses backlash to immigrants built this country remarks in the Grammy speech should have been more intentional. And I can't help but be disappointed. I'm sorry. The reaction was very loud across social media, but I can't help but be disappointed. This is what broke the camel's back to some of y'all. I've seen so many people across social media that were staunch Pan-African, people that call this saying they hate the FBA ADOS thing, how it's divisive. Those people, when he made this comment, all of a sudden said, y'all making me agree with them now. This is what made you say it. The Democrats been saying this for a decade, maybe more. They've been saying every time they stand in front of a mic during any campaign, the immigrants are the heartbeat to this country. It's been them saying, they've been saying it for years. But when this Nigerian country music artist says it, then it hits you. But anyway, let me play. Oh, okay, all right, I'm back. He said, you give America color. He said, last part, word salad. This is the crazy part. If he stopped at that point right before he said immigrants built this country, if he stopped right there, it's a beautiful speech, move on with your life. You othered yourself in a situation. You let us be known, I'm an immigrant. I came here through my Nigerian parents or whatever. The speech just goes away. That last part is what did it to you. That's what did you in, obviously. Let me, and it got so bad that even Bernice King, Dr. Bernice King, she had to come out and say something. The fact that she came out and said something said a lot. She said, it's Black History Month. And I have to ask, are people including enslaved African descendants of those enslaved and Black people who unjust, low-wage labor sustained the economy in the 1800s and 1900s as immigrants when they say immigrants built this country? Because chattel slavery was the express purpose of building empire. But our ancestors weren't folks who came here seeking a better life. They arrived in chains, were bred like cattle, and severely violated sexually and otherwise. Their trauma shouldn't be dismissed or forgotten, even in efforts towards freedom from ISIS's inhumane, violent acts. We can only get to justice for all when truth is taught, embraced, and spoken. Now, this is what I was talking about when it comes to third culture kids, people who are born into this country, who come from another country, and now when they in their house, when Shaboozey's in the house, he's Nigerian. But when he step outside in Virginia, he's surrounded by, if he lives in a neighborhood around these people, Black Americans. So it gets to a point where they start to cross certain things that shouldn't be crossed. They start to think that that culture is the same as this culture. They start to blend things in their own mind and start to feel like these things are exact same, and I'm allowed to say I'm a part of both. So the biggest question she asked in that, which led to the whole blowback that he got, which is, are enslaved Africans being counted as immigrants? I was shocked by how many people I've seen who call themselves progressive, left-wing, liberal, whatever you want to call it, saying something that they completely attacked the right wing for saying years ago. Remember when that thing happened a few years ago and they said in Texas they're changing the name slavery to forced immigrant or indentured servant? They're changing the name. Well, y'all are now doing it by, you had people on social media saying that slaves were immigrants. They're forced immigrants. That's not a forced immigrant. Immigrant is a person who go to another country willingly for a better life, obviously, for reasons. A forced immigrant would be somebody who go to a country because of a war, or they're a war-torn country. Let's say in Haiti. What's going on in Haiti right now, the people who decide to leave and come to America, that is forced migration. That's forced immigration. They feel like the society they live in Haiti isn't fit to raise kids in. It's dangerous to them and their lives. We have to leave. It's just not stable. That is forced immigration. Then there's slavery. That's when you're just forced. You didn't want to go. You didn't have to go. You were forced to go. It's not the same thing. So after she made that comment and all the backlash that happened, he was forced to say something back. He was forced to say something to try to clear it up. And I have no doubt in my mind that it had to be a PR person that wrote this, and they were definitely not Black American. He made it worse. First and foremost, this is Shaboozey. He left a letter on social media. First and foremost, I want to express my deep gratitude to everyone who has supported and celebrated my journey as an artist. I also want to acknowledge the conversation surrounding my acceptance speech. To be clear, I know and believe that we, Black people, have also... Now, what's the we? Mark said our ancestors weren't classified as people. Exactly. 1/5. What is... 2/5. What is... 3/5, I'm sorry. 3/5 of a human being. What is the we part? See, this is where I'm talking about that third culture thing. Because you already othered yourself on stage when you refer to yourself as an immigrant, Nigerian. Now you're saying we, Black people. Nah, the flat blackness is done, buddy. Have also built this country. My words were never intended to dismiss that truth. I am both a Black man and the son of Nigerian immigrants. So he just distinguished it again. So he knows there's a difference between Black and Nigerian. He just did it again. All right. And in the overwhelming moment of winning my first Grammy, my focus was on honoring the sacrifices my parents made by coming to this country to give me and my siblings opportunities they never had. At the same time, winning this award on the first day of Black History Month and becoming the first Black man to win Best Country Duo is Black history. No, that's Nigerian history. Also, there's already been Black men who've won country awards. This is the Black Country Award. This is the award they give you to get you to shut up. The Best Country Duo, like it just gave you something. It stands on the foundation laid by generations of Black people who fought, sacrificed, and succeeded long before me. This moment belongs to all of us. So now he's trying to reconnect, obviously. My entire career has been rooted in lifting people up, honoring where we come from, and expanding what's possible. I am proud to be part of this legacy, and I intend to continue doing that work for the rest of my life. And then he even left his actual name with love. Now, he even admitted the reason why he allowed people to call him Shaboozey is because he said the white people around him couldn't pronounce his real name. So we already know what type of personality he is. And I remember, I think we talked about this when he first started popping with that song he had when we pointed out how Willie Jones, the other the black dude who's a country music artist, when he called him out for making a song and constantly putting white people in it. Like, why would you take this song that's so big, make a video for it, and do exactly what country music tells you to do, which is make it a white aesthetic? Why would you do that? Mark says, what fight? He's first generation. But see, that's the point. On one hand, he distanced himself, othered himself, and now whoever wrote this is trying to reconnect him, reestablish him back to quote unquote blackness. Because to be honest with you, there's probably a lot of Black Americans who didn't know he was Nigerian. They saw a dude with fronts in his mouth from Virginia doing country music. They saw him on Beyonce's album. They saw him at the halftime show, for the NFL halftime show with Beyonce. They think he black. So now you got on that stage and said that. They're like, oh, you're an immigrant. People said, don't they have to pay to be nominated in the first place? Yeah, I think so. Isn't it like $500 or something? Like there's some type of fee they got to pay? So with that, there was a big blowback online. Like I said, a whole bunch of people started talking a lot differently. All of a sudden, they had different points of views. They started aligning themselves with ideologies and beliefs they said it was completely wrong. And then this happened. Let me show this. This was the ABC News segment.
This Black History Month, we're highlighting foundational Black Americans whose ingenuity, innovations, and labor play a critical role in American culture and infrastructure, including Alexander Miles, who invented automatic elevator doors in 1887, and Garrett Morgan, who invented the 3-light traffic signal in 1923. And our next guest is working to ensure that foundational Black Americans' contributions are known.
Before the modern day toilet, the can, the pot, the throne, the john, whatever you call it, going to the bathroom used to be messy, uncomfortable, it smelled bad, and it could also spread disease. All that began to change because the foundational Black American invented the modern indoor toilet, and his name was Thomas Elkin.
Now that came out, and people said, oh snap, they finally using certain names and titles that we want them to use. They're making sure it's not directed towards anybody who's quote unquote Black. But somebody tried to go watch the video, I think today or yesterday, and they took it down. So they had that segment acknowledging quote unquote foundational Black Americans, and then they took it down. So I don't know if somebody made the call. I don't know who did what, but the video, if I'm not mistaken, last I checked, was not accessible. I don't know if they took it down completely, deleted it. I don't know if they made it private on the YouTube channel, but it is now, you can't. Oh man, and it's funny because when this first came out, you had a whole bunch of people celebrating. The same thing happened when, what's his name? What's his name? The former Fox News host, when he shouted out FBA or whatever, I mean ADOS, saying that he agreed with their grievances and stuff, and you had a whole bunch of people celebrating. Like, why do you care about these people acknowledging something? You shouldn't get validation from it. The same thing with ABC. You shouldn't expect to get validation to something you believe from these legacy networks, because they have sponsors. They have things they have to keep in order. And somebody either called them and said that this is a hate group, said that they're xenophobic, or maybe it was a political reason. They don't want this to be something that continues to grow. I don't know. But that was funny that they posted that in the midst of all the backlash against Shaboozey. And then I want to show this here.
As an immigrant, I see why a lot of Black Americans don't care about whatever's going on when it comes to immigration, and really don't have too many nice things particularly to say when it comes to immigrants. Because what do you mean immigrants built this country? Do you know at a particular time in history that the U.S. supplied 75% of the world's cotton? And we know where the cotton came from. It came from slavery. If it wasn't for slavery, you think the U.S. would have been able to win the war against the English? You think they would have had the economic power to do so? Do you know even the states that got rid of slavery still benefited off of slavery? What do you mean immigrants built this country?
I also don't like that whenever people speak about slavery, they tie it down to just cotton. It was all agriculture. Like, it wasn't just people in the field picking cotton. And everybody wasn't in the field picking cotton who was actually helping the economy and stuff. There were people who were free, who were doing things. Like, people were inventing things during that time. It wasn't just cotton. It was an entire industry that people was making, in today's currency, billions from, and had to pay nobody out. So it was just profit, billions in profit. And it led to every industry you got in this country, whether it be banking, your whole entire government's economy built your entire government and stuff. Even when you look at your movie industry, all this stuff was invested in through money that came through slavery. It built every industry in this country. And all this talk about it, and people asking, well, who gets the credit for it, when these people helped build it at first, and then years later the immigrants came in and they built on top of that. What they build? They keep talking about Asians building railroads. It was niggas there too. Like, it wasn't like it was just all Asians building these railroads that happened. It was every facet of this country, the wars, everything about this country's economy and industry. Black people were there. That's why that term foundational fits. And it's funny, you see these these Caucasian people now referring to themselves as heritage Americans. I'm gonna show them actually agreeing with FBA. Hold on, let me show this.
You guys are all liars. You know what I love about being African and not looking or sounding African is that I have experienced racism from Africans not knowing that I'm African. I've traveled Africa. I've traveled. See, I'm well cultured. I'm well traveled, right? And everybody assumes that I'm Black American. And most times I don't try to correct them because I want to see how they perceive me. I want to see how they treat me. They treat me differently until they figure out that I'm African. Until I put my foot down and be like, my guy, now me African bad girl, I mean, I just baby, relax. I have experienced racism from immigrants in Africa because they thought I was a kata. So again, you guys can lie because it makes you feel good because you know now the truth is coming out. But like I said, a lot of you immigrants, not just Africans, you come here and think you're better than Black Americans because what the oppressors have told you. You all side with the oppressors because they told you African and Black people are wild, they're ghetto, they're this, they're that.
You know, it's funny how there's this whole thing being written out of history where these people come to the country, put their right hand on the Bible and will swear allegiance to the flag, but somehow, yeah, it is what it is. Let me play this right here. This is why I was talking about how everybody uses your victim status to push their agenda. Let me play this. This is a Super Bowl commercial, an upcoming Super Bowl commercial that is supposed to be a dealing with anti-Semitism.
Loser. Dude.
Did you see that? Should we tell him? So bad.
Oh, bro, look at him. Oh my gosh.
It's not funny. Stop.
Dirty Jew. But look who comes to his savior. He's walking through the school halls. Somebody put a sticky note on his back calling him a dirty Jew. But look who comes to save him.
Do not listen to that.
Thank you, man.
I know how it feels.
I know how it feels.
Nah. They're not worth it, bro.
Yeah, you're right. I was tripping.
What's your name?
Name's Dave.
David?
Yeah.
You know, in this little commercial, so many things they put in here. So obviously they made the Black dude a savior to this Jewish kid. But then they turned, when the Jewish kid wanted to, you know, get violent and go defend himself, they made the Black kid the pacifist. And I've been talking about this for 2 months. I've been talking about this for 2-3 months now, that this idea of radical revolutionary is being pushed away from Black people. It was the Black kid that said they're not worth your time. The Jewish kid wanted to go throw hands. He wanted to go put paws on these dudes that did this. It was the Black kid who's taller than him, probably bigger and stronger than him, who decided, nah, man, it's not worth it. Oh boy, crazy. What the fuck is this? Keep it cringe. Mark says the origin of the Statue of Liberty is about us. Immigrants arrived later. That's why it's a chain on her leg, on her ankle, should I say. And see that, and people be asking this question of, you know, why are Black Americans constantly an afterthought in that whole conversation they have about who built this and all this other, particularly from the political parties, because it ain't just the Democrats; it's also the Republicans. You got the Democrats that tell the Spanish and the Mexicans that they built the country and they're so necessary and important. And you got the other side. They say the same thing. Hey, it's us. It's our forefathers, Europeans, that came over here and built this country. So both of them neglect the real discussion. But hold on. But yeah, I just found it funny they did that, and I want to show this right here.
From Africa.
We know.
Yes, we are. I said we know. I know that.
Yeah, but I thought you guys are African American too.
Okay, hold on. So Paris.
Can I say something?
What is your ethnicity?
My ethnicity is Somali.
What is your tribe?
Isaac.
Okay, so you're not black. How the fuck are you black?
I am not black.
You're not black?
What defines black?
Well, hold on. No. Now mute your goddamn mic, sir.
What is black?
Paris, are you black, Paris? Are you black, Paris?
No, I have Somali parents. I am not black.
Finally, you got some.
You know, it's funny. I'm playing this because on TikTok, in the midst of all this, because these conversations be happening all day, apparently, the number one demographic I've seen have no problem saying stuff like this is the East Africans, in particular Somalis, Ethiopians, and stuff. They obviously have that bit of arrogance that I think exists in Arabs. A lot of them feel like they are more Arab than what they call sub-Saharan African. We're not sub-Saharan African. We are Arab, especially I think is it Ethiopia or Egypt? One of those. I think it's Ethiopia. I always say that we were never colonized. They always be proud of that. We were never colonized, so they distinguish themselves. So this don't surprise me, but I want to play this enough to see the other guy's reaction.
Something finally.
I am not part of.
Hey, Baba Stan, listen, and listen, and this is the thing, Paris. Look, you have another Somalian on stage. He's trying to emulate and want to identify as black, knowing that Somalians, that Africa, the continent. But listen, that continent doesn't identify. That continent doesn't identify themselves or their culture as a color description. They don't do that. Like you said, Paris, you stand on your ethnicity, which is Somalian. That's how you do. You don't identify as a color. So
yes, I don't.
What's wrong with this ignorant ass Somalian on stage trying to emulate or tie himself to black people when he has no history, no connection at all to them?
Exactly. Waria, why you identifying as black? You are Somali or born of Africa.
Damn.
All right, so here's the thing. You probably don't live in America, so you don't know what the American racial structure is.
It doesn't matter where you live. Your background, heritage, your ancestors.
And that was his answer. That's all I want to get. We've seen articles written, books written. People had done TED Talks about this idea of when they come to America, definitely realize they are so-called black. And then I want to show this right quick. I'm going to move. I got it. Hold on. I'm looking for something in particular. I had a post. Hold on. All right, y'all got it. We skipped that. I'm gonna play this right quick. I'm gonna play two more, and I'm gonna get to another topic I want to get to.
When I was doing my traveling, that nations African nations and Asian nations and Latin American nations look very hypocritical when they stand up in the United Nations condemning the racist practices of South Africa and that which is practiced by Portugal and Angola, and saying nothing in the UN about the racist practices that are manifest every day against Negroes in this society. Even in South Africa, those Africans aren't faced with bayonets and aren't faced with police dogs. I would be not a man if I was in a position to bring it in front of the United Nations and didn't do so.
And it's funny how that's to this day, we've seen these people go in front of the UN or come out and call themselves trying to get reparations, and they're trying to get it for the continent. They're trying to get it for the countries on the continent. We've seen them create a whole African Union and somehow try to implement Black Americans into it so they can try to gain resources for themselves. Then I want to get to this right here, because this is a point that I saw. I told y'all there was an Asian guy. Here it goes. I think I read this like 4 or 5 months ago. This is an Asian guy. He says, Black America has fundamentally already reached its end of history. It has nowhere to go from here but just further and accelerating integration into the American mainstream, both genetically and culturally. There's nothing left for it. Nothing new that's coming. It's just entering a mass dilution. This enrages both hardcore white nationalists and black activists, but perhaps it is great for American cohesion in the long run. So I talked about that a few months ago when he said this, and I asked, is this possible? Is it truly a thing you could see happening where Black America is no more, and not even from a standpoint of being attacked or sent off to another country, but just simply forced, this just natural integration that just happens. Assimilation just happens naturally. There's nothing we could do about it. Well, this dude came out and asked the same question. This dude, Anthony, said a lot of people like to play silly games when it comes to the history and culture of Black Americans. It is a form of erasure, revisionism, and downplaying the and although a lot of Black Americans are willing to overlook it, many are starting to get very agitated by it. So this Haitian dude said, Black American history and culture will not exist in 100 years. It will either blend into American culture or fuse into Black monoculture all Black people in America claim, especially with no distinct religion or language to serve as a barrier. The funny part of this is the only way this is a thing, especially the secondary half, blend into American culture. If you want to think, if you believe things become extreme, if you believe that the idea of interracial dating and just a lack of passing down cultural norms happens, then yeah, that's possible. Regardless if you think it is going to happen, it is definitely possible. But the Black monoculture thing seems more like a dream more than an actual possibility. As I said earlier, we just seen a Nigerian born in Virginia sitting on stage with fronts in his mouth, singing country. So like, what about him says that he's going to be something opposite of what black culture is? Even when you look at somebody like, what's his name, DeVito? He's from Atlanta. He was born and raised in Atlanta. He just makes Afrobeat music. But what about him says, when you see him in interviews and speak, that he's somehow influencing local Atlanta culture or Georgia in a whole? What about him is influencing that entire culture to do something opposite of what Black American culture is? I don't think that's a thing. Most people come to this country, and in order to make it in the industry or entertainment or anything, you must assimilate, which is normal for every culture in history. When these people talk about as kids that got picked on, regardless of your background, it's normal for kids to find stuff that's different and make it change to what they are. That's just normal. I'm not saying it's right or wrong all the time, but that's normal. So when you came to school with your goosey soup, or you wear your traditional clothing, and people started, what are those, and joking on what you was doing, it wasn't just them being mean. It was cultural protection. It was guarding their culture. Like, what are you doing opposite from us? You're different from us. And a lot of those kids, what do? They change how they dress. They change how they talk, everything. But anyway, Mark says, what Mrs. Zoe is talking about is very reason why there is a Black History Month. Exactly. This idea that and what's funny is the attempt to make Black History Month a global Black celebration is a part of the attempt at what they call replacement. Because what you're saying is you want everybody to be called Black so that there will be this black monoculture that everybody claims. Because it's not something that exists right now. And it's not even just because of Black Americans. There's plenty of people that come from other countries and don't want to assimilate. They move to different neighborhoods. They keep their kids and their family in certain environments, not around Black Americans. That's not just a one-way street. So I just don't think this is at all possible. I think the influence that has been gained over the last century in America by Black Americans, there's no way in the next, he said 100 years it won't exist. There's no way in the next 50 it will actually be influenced much. I mean, most of the art we see come from other countries end up being influenced by Black Americans. When you look at in the early 2000s, late 90s, when they was pushing Sean Paul and stuff, when they was pushing that reggae and sound and all that stuff in America, and you had a bunch of Jamaicans saying it's going to replace hip hop. What happened by 2005? When you saw Sean Paul do a song with Beyonce and that sound more like R&B. The same thing happened with Afrobeat right now. You see a lot of them complaining about the sound because Tyler just won a Grammy for Best African Performance. And what are the Nigerians saying? That ain't African music. They're saying that that's not African music, and they're saying that Afrobeat is being Americanized. What they mean is you got what's the name? the something star girl, the Nigerian girl. She signed with Rock Nation. Tim's. She's not even an Afrobeat artist no more. She called herself a soul R&B singer. Burna Boy says that he's Afrofusion. DeVito been doing like how many songs he got with Chris Brown? And that Afrobeat that Chris Brown is making is way different from what they naturally make. That ain't the same sound. So even when they attempt to have influence, they get changed by American sound. The only way it could be palatable to American audience if it sounds like something we already heard. You could say it's us being main character syndrome, selfish, whatever you want to call it, but we don't like what other people are already doing. We call it soccer, not football. We use a totally different metric system than the rest of the world. We consider ourselves the main character, the center of the damn planet. It's going to be extremely hard to create a black monoracial culture that isn't something that we dictate. It's just going to be very hard. I'm sorry. Mark said, isn't this an admission to what some black Americans have said about not wanting to go back and help their people? That too. Although I will say this, since I'm on Nigerian's ass right now. When I Show Speed went to Nigeria in particular, I've never seen a group self-deprecate as much as Nigerians. They would tell you flat out they wish they weren't Nigerian. They'll make jokes saying, I wish my ancestors ended up on the boat. They do not want to be in Nigeria. Like it's bad. They'll very quickly tell you they don't want to be there. They have no hope to stay there. They want to get out there as soon as possible. They don't believe it ever be fixed. It's a failed state. And there's plenty of places like that in Africa, obviously. But yeah, I think when they say stuff like this, they're saying basically this dude, Mr. Zoe, he has no intentions of going back to Haiti and rebuilding and making sure that culture stays strong. People like him want black Americans to absorb Haitian and Trinidadian and Jamaican and Nigerian, Ghanaian, want them to absorb those cultures, blend, and be like a headquarters for the rest of the world. So that everybody can come here, blend in, and enjoy everything at the same time, but leave and still be independent. So they could be Haitian and black. They can be Jamaican and black. And that's what they've been trying to do for the last decade or so, especially since this ADOS FBA thing popped up. But unfortunately for them, it did pop up. So it's getting called out more. Anyway. And I'll show some responses. Y'all can kind of guess what the responses are. People are saying it sounds like you want this to happen. Yada, yada, yada. Which is funny because he's saying that the only reason why it hasn't happened yet is because there was segregation and yada, yada, yada. And I'm like, if there was really a desire to be completely assimilated into white culture, it would have been happened. Unfortunately, we are rebellious in good and bad ways. We just don't want to. We might want the access to the economy and stuff, but no, we don't want to be absorbed into white America. All right, I want to show this too. There's this social media poster on X named Diane Yap. She's an Asian woman who be talking real foul. She was one of the people that gained an audience because of the Stop Asian Hate shit. And then the desire to get rid of affirmative action and all the other stuff for the college admissions and stuff. So she gained an audience talking crazy about black people, right? Unfortunately, the tides are turning because the whites are now sounding like those entitled victim Negroes all of a sudden. So she said, heritage white Americans are just like foundational black Americans. They want gifts based on skin color and ancestry. How embarrassing. So the Asians who spend their whole life studying and remembering stuff so they can regurgitate it, so they can get a degree or access to something in life so that they can just do well in school or whatever. You got white people saying that this is that grind culture that we don't want. And that some things should be set aside for the people who are here first, right? So this dude right here, who I'm pretty sure if I look him up, he said he's anti-racist, anti-neocon. He's a populist. He said, WASP and ADOS built this country, you deformed freak. I've seen so many of these people that people who would actually call right wingers or racist. I mean, they're pretty much aligning heritage Americans and ADOS as the same thing, not necessarily for their goal, but at least their arguments are the same, equal. And as we heard with Ann Coulter, she said, Black people have a special place in this country. So same way they talk about Native Americans, you know, they almost, at least the Asiatic ones, the ones that came over from Siberia, they speak about them in ways that are a little bit more soft, you know. You have a few of them that'll say, hey, we didn't do nothing wrong. We came over, we won a war, move on. But most of them say stuff like, hey, you know, if anybody deserves reparations, it's them, even though they know that they never gonna give it to them. Even though they did they're giving you all this type of land and stuff. I mean, didn't they award half of Oklahoma? Whatever happened to that? I should do a follow-up on, didn't they award half of Oklahoma to Native Americans? Did anything come from that? I haven't heard much about it again. But anyway. I gotta show this too. Let me show this.
And now for a non-scoring question which tells the score. Recently, Jet magazine asked its black readers to answer the following question. What ethnic name do you prefer to be known by? Jet gave its readers these 5 possibilities. In what order do you think they were chosen by the Jet readers? The 5 choices which you see on the screen are shuffled, if you'll excuse the expression, from the final results of the Jet poll. The question again was, what ethnic name do you prefer to be known by? And the 5 ethnic designations are A, African American, B, Negro, C, Black, D, Colored, E, Afro-American. Remember to rank your choices according to how you think the black readers of Jet answered the poll. And now for the answer. At the bottom, in 5th place, was that old euphemism, colored, and in 4th place was that schizoid term, African American.
Schizoid.
In 3rd place, with less than a quarter of the votes, was the term Negro, the word which the white community and communications media are accustomed to use. In 2nd place was the term Black, and in a comfortable lead for the moment is the phrase Afro-American. Of these 2 expressions, Black is more popular among youth and college students. It's less than 2 years since Stokely Carmichael popularized the phrase Black Power from a speech by Adam Clayton Powell. It's less than a year since Martin Luther King endorsed the slogan, Black is beautiful, and it's so beautiful to be black. But more beautiful, and best to the point, is, as Robert Burns said, for all that, and all that, and all that, a man is a man for all that.
Keep the schizoid term. He's right though. I mean, we've been saying it forever. I'm African and American. I'm named after 2 continents. All right. Anyway, so even back then, that was obviously the more popular term, especially with the youth, was Black. And as time came on, that became the term that most people called themselves.
Get in here, man. So everybody, did you know Jesse Jackson and Ramona Edlin got sued for inventing the term African American?
Now this is not true. The term African American was used 100 years before this, though.
And Mr. Avis J. Smith, which is the plaintiff, versus Ramona Edlin and Reverend Jesse Jackson, that's the defendant. And here go the case number, if you care to look it up, right here. And the one who sued them, he had wrote a book, and he talks about what happened, right? But the weird thing is about it, you can't find Mrs. Smith's picture nowhere on the internet, and I wonder why. But the book was published in 2015, right? The book focuses on a court case filed in the District Court of Washington against Reverend Jesse Jackson and Ramona Edlin by Avis J. Smith in response to a meeting titled the African American Summit held in 1989. At this meeting, 5 prominent black reverends, right? As you can see the names right here,
So he said that, and I was wanting to say, like I said, that is not true. The term African American has not been used as an actual identifier in the legal system, but it definitely was something that people used long before the 80s. He did not invent the term. Yeah, that ain't how that went. What else I got here?
And they.
I'm curious.
Yeah, let me show this.
And they are terrorized. They are terrorized. Haitian nationals. This is cruelty. This is inhumane. And this is a death sentence. Because we already know the consequences. Because in Haiti, there's open warfare and rape. There's ravaging violence against women and children. There are no school days, no work schedule. You do what the gangs want you to do.
I'm playing this because, once again, the way she worded this, considering I don't know, I know her name, but I didn't bother looking to make sure if she was Haitian or not. When you say these gangs are attacking women and children, ignoring that they're attacking the men of these women and children, she just painted Haiti, especially the men, as these beasts walking around on the island who are making it unsafe for women and children. The only answer for that is women and children should not be forced to stay in the country, but you could deport the men if you want. Go ahead. What up, Regina? To my Saturn's Day tribe featuring Duke, and to the chat, how you doing? Keeper, that's mean. That's mean. What I got next? What is this?
What you make of the fact of the House seats that you lost and
Oh, if you're talking about they're talking about getting rid of ICE and stuff. I'm not gonna bother playing this. I was gonna play this video of Clyburn making the point that we don't need to get rid of qualified immunity from the police. Now you got people on the left saying we need to get rid of ICE, but it is what it is. What is this? Oh yeah, we gotta show this. Viral dispute over mediocre comment exposes racial divides in Democrats' Texas Senate primary. I can't say his name consistently. I tried to say his name earlier. I'm trying it again. Talarkios, I know how to say that name, going to have to do it better with black voters, and Crockett's going to have to do better with white and Latino voters, said one Texas Democrat not involved in the race. The controversy over Texas Representative James' alleged comment about one of his former Democratic opponents has exposed some of the racial divides unfolding in the party's Senate primary with just a few weeks until voters pick a nominee. A TikTok influencer went viral this week with the allegation that James described former Representative Colin Allred as a mediocre black man, which James said was a mischaracterization, and Allred slammed the comment as disqualifying. Go vote for Jasmine Crockett, Allred said in a video response, endorsing James' opponent in the Democratic primary. This man should not be our nominee for United Senate. Let me say this. Call him a mediocre black man. Now, I only know this dude's name, I gotta be honest, because of Roland Martin. During the last election, and I watched Roland Martin's stream for a good laugh, I was laughing my ass off of that stream. It was so mad. He actually mentioned Allred out of Texas. He said Allred should be somebody that should be winning every election, but they pretty much called him a coon who distances himself from black people. So while Roland Martin them said this man is a coon, he's now trying to use James's comments about him being a mediocre black man to try and get a black woman elected. But I can't help but think one thing. I'm sorry. This goes along with a pattern that we've seen forever from this party, which is them constantly praising black women with the undermining of black men. Now, regardless if you like him or not, regardless if you think he's an actual mediocre black man, it says more that behind the scenes, there's just not a desire to see a black man run for office from this party, in my opinion. Keeper says, sounds like a fake outrage story to bring attention to Cricket's horrible campaign. I believe it 100% is an attempt for that. The problem is he actually said it. So it's like you gave them something. Every poll I've seen, he's been washing. I can say washing. Every poll I've seen, he's been beating her, winning in the polls at least. This, I don't know if this would hurt him much because he didn't say it about a black woman. He said it was a mediocre black man who, as far as Roland Martin said last year, didn't associate himself with black people. So I don't know if black people will actually be mad or care that you said this about him. So they've been trying to get a spark to that campaign for, I guess. But it also says a lot about these so-called progressive spaces, these so-called spaces of, Keeper said, is he? Hey, I'm going based off what Roland Martin said. I don't know. He said, well, is he? If he is, then we'll know if she still lose. If Jasmine Crockett get blown out, and the black vote, let's say that the percentage is going to be high, obviously, but if the voter turnout ain't that high, yeah, that means they agree. They agree he probably coon. That's why it makes sense in politics, entertainment, everything you do, your base must look like you. They're more dependable. When you rely on somebody from a different lineage or whatever, at any moment they're going to align with somebody that looks like them. So it makes no sense to constantly look for other people's support. But anyway, we'll see. But like I said, in these progressive spaces, they be talking real racial. The supposed people who everybody get a fair shot and love everybody. You know, calling somebody a mediocre black man is crazy. Forget at some point. Speaking of doing that are uncalled for, Trump, man. I got it. I can't help. Trump decided to post something. I'm not gonna show the video. I just show the 1 minute video, and in this video, it shows Donald Trump posted a video of Michelle Obama and Barack Obama as gorillas and monkeys. But that's not the entire video. Like I said, the video is a minute long. It shows all the people on the Democratic side being animals. I think he has some of them as hyenas. Some of them, it's all type of animals they made these people out to be. The problem is the only monkeys, the only monkeys and gorillas is Barack and Michelle. And it's like, when people try to say, well, all them are animals. Like, bro, you know what this looks like. This was just dumb. I think he deleted it if I'm not mistaken, but it was already too late. Trying to say it was taken out of context. Ain't no context. Trump does stuff sometimes. You could say he's just he does really stupid. Like, what do you you came out of this country to recognize Black History Month. Trying to make sure people don't try to paint you as a anti-black person, even though I don't care about none of that. But then you post this. You post this. Craig said Trump knew what he was doing during Black History Month. Yeah, it's like come on, bro. That was just stupid. But he don't give a damn. Trump said he 80-something years old. He in his last whatchamacallit. Do something. Do something. All right. Let me show this right. Quick discussion. Our pizza-loving president. Oh, we're gonna get to that. We're gonna run through some more Epstein files. I'm not gonna stay on it. I'm just gonna run through it quickly. But yeah, we're gonna get to that. Virginia says not to defend whatsoever, but in full context, Biden is depicted as a baboon. Okay, I'm wrong then. I said they were only two. I saw the whole video, but I didn't see that one. See, if it would have been better if he made Obama and Biden at the beginning of the video the monkeys. Then it would have been like, oh, okay, he just making fun of all of them. But yeah, it clearly looks away. It probably is what we think it is, but you know, it is what it is. Let me show. GloRilla appears to address sister's accusations that she abandoned family by sharing texts with mom. All right, I don't care about this that much. I want to ask the question. GloRilla accused by her sister of not helping her mama and her, saying she won't give them no money, don't help. As you can see, she posted some text messages saying, you know, that ain't quite the truth. And then her sister posted some stuff, you know, made some points about her not helping nobody. You got rich and forgot about the family, as they say. The question becomes, if your sibling, GloRilla, you saw it too? They've been calling her bro. Hey, that stud stuff is hilarious. I'm sorry. He stud. And I have 100% belief that she got less sympathy because she's a stud. I'm sorry. That's the feminine aspect definitely garners more sympathy. I'm sorry. It's true. If a sibling of yours becomes really wealthy, I'm rich, get some money. You know, they make a couple. Let's say you get a sibling that makes in the next 5 years, they come up on like $5 million, $1 million a year. They're doing shows. They're a rapper or they're entertainer, whatever they do. Is there an expectation for them to give you money, even if you a fuck up? Even if you really don't deserve it, even if you're somebody who wastes your money, even if you're somebody who's not trustworthy with money, you don't make good decisions with money or nothing. If they already gave you something, let's say they start off giving you and your mom $500,000, put you in the house, bless you. This expectation that the person is supposed to continue to give you money. I always say they don't owe you, man. It's nice for them to do it, but sibling or not, that ain't how it goes. As a matter of fact, I am going to play one of these. Let me play it.
Y'all man, I'm talking about y'all favorite rapper. Y'all favorite rapper ain't shit, and I'm getting tired of it. Y'all mad. Look, y'all talking about some she ain't obligated. She ain't obligated when she want to sit here and all them interviews and talk about the struggles we've been through and then reach back and help none of us out, but got her friends around.
Funny, she look like her too. It's funny because GloRilla, no matter how much surgeries and makeup you do, your sister gonna remind us how you really look. I'm being honest. Keeper said, yeah, I saw it hilarious. Jenny says, nobody owes you nothing. You make your own way in life. If she chose to do so, it's her choice. Keeper says, no obligation at all. Just spend time with the family. That's it. You know, it's one of those things too, where you see people that get this type of wealth and money, where everybody that calls them is always, how you doing, man? And then the next question is, you know, I'm doing pretty bad. You know, I gotta pay this rent bill. I gotta pay this light bill. And it's like, damn, like, you think she ever called her sister and said, are you doing good? How's things going? I see people on the internet making jokes about your nose, saying you got surgery. Are you doing all right? Is it true? You think she ever just check up on her, or is it like cash out request $2,500? I need this. Help me out. You my sister. You ain't gonna. Like, come on, man.
And my mama still working at FedEx. Y'all better get the fuck out of my face.
Hey, man, that's not a bad job. Look, just because somebody in your family come up, especially this early in her career, how many years ago GloRilla been lit? Like what, since like 2023, 2022, something like that? She about 4 or 5 years into her career. That ain't enough time. That ain't enough time to be stable. In the entertainment industry, it can go up and down very quickly. Look at Sexy Red. You think Sexy Red making as much money as she did 2 years ago? That's nowhere near saying she's broke at all, but she probably went from making $150,000 a show to 45, 40, 30, 20. Like, it's going down. So just because she got that 5 years ago, hey, if I've been working at FedEx for 10 years, I got these benefits, I'm not quitting immediately. You're going to have to be able to retire at least 3 generations for me to quit. I remember when Kendrick told a story about his mama when he made it and all that stuff, and his mama didn't want to get rid of her food stamps because we can't risk this. We got to make sure you solid, your kids solid, your grandkids solid, and you can take care of 40 people at the same time before I'm deciding to quit this job or get off this welfare. So, hey, man, it is what it is. Let me, bro.
Hey, everybody. So we celebrate my dad for his retirement. So So how long? 30 years? 29 years at the post office. I'm pretty sure the post office appreciate all your hard work. You know I appreciate your hard work. You spoiled me as a little girl. So I got a gift for you for your retirement.
So they saying she retired the father, with the mom still at FedEx. Hey man. Now, obviously, you see all this. I'm not gonna go through all of it. She been going back and forth. Now, like I said, getting back to it, they don't owe you anything. It is what it is. They decide to help you, they don't. And she might not fuck with you. Like, just because you her sister don't mean she like you. Like, she might not like you. Y'all might not been close growing up. And I don't understand that, but it's amazing to me how many siblings, like, just don't care about each other. They don't hang out with each other. They don't call. They don't have that sibling love for each other. It's more like, this is the person I grew up with. We lived in the house together for a couple years. We got older and got away from each other, and there was just no desire to speak to each other that much. Like, we only talk to each other when we're around each other, which is almost never. Regina says, is it just me, or does it feel like all of a sudden the stars are going through rituals to the umpth degree? Could be the signs of how things have gone after COVID. People ain't got as much money. People ain't got as much fame as they once did. These people ain't too far away from being right back in those same neighborhoods. So you're seeing people pull these stunts. Now, I'm not saying this is a stunt, but you're seeing people pull stunts and stuff to try and get get right. They're desperate out here. Funny enough, GloRilla, in one of the videos she put out, she said, she probably gonna sacrifice me. She said she probably gonna sacrifice me, and then I guess somebody in the room with her was like, she probably already did. I told you not to go live. It was fun. It was hilarious. Regina said, yep, me, the Duke, my two sisters are my H-Boom Coons. I do anything for them and my whole family, actually, and yours too. If I had it, that's just me. Yeah, I get it. People grew up in different environments. They always say when you grow up in a household, who your mother and father was to you is totally different who they were to your other sibling and your other sibling. Y'all had different parents in the same household. They're going to treat each one of y'all differently based off personality. The firstborn is treated differently from the baby, which is treated differently from the knee baby. It's just, y'all didn't have the same experience, and some people can get resentment from that. Not just towards the parents, but towards the sibling. They feel like you was treated like the favorite. You ain't earning it, yada, yada, yada. So, hey, man, it's unfortunate. But hey, man, she ain't giving you the money. What's Tory Lanez? Tory Lanez sent her $2,500 though, and then she went online and started spreading it. She started spreading money like a fan. And they said, "See, this is why they don't give her money. Look at her." What was this right here? Yeah. All right, let me show this too. This is the last thing on this, and then we're gonna get to this last segment. Hold on. I gotta start it with this though. Let me play this.
Who's best friend?
Merrick Garland
ain't
nobody's
shit.
friend here. He ain't nobody. He ain't shit.
Is right.
He ain't
That's
shit.
about it. Double
And
down. Triple.
He ain't shit. And the reality of it is, it should have been released. And I think that maybe a sensitivity to the Clinton aspect is why it wasn't before. And that's a problem for me. I'm not here to represent the Democratic Party. I've been a Democrat for a while, but I'm barely in the party at this point. I don't care about protecting Bill Clinton. And I will know.
Now they're acknowledging that the reason why the files weren't released sooner, not just because Trump didn't want to release it, because Biden didn't either. Virginia says, my father, estranged father, died unexpectedly on 1/9 of longshoreman for 59 years, my whole life since I'm 60. A will? Nope. Hey, it be like that. It be like that. She says she's not sticking up for the Democratic Party. She's barely in the party now. Well, yeah, they fired you. They done with you now. Now you're not a part of the party no more. All right, let's run through this. There's a lot. I ain't want to stick to it too long. Where we at? All right. Mark says both parties are trash. Facts. And as far as her,
well, we don't believe you. You need more people.
Trump says America should move on from Epstein. It may not be that he's Trump. Nah, buddy. It's not over. Here's a weird thing about Trump, right? Because he's in the files, his name. But when you check certain files, when Trump said he cut them off, that's true. because in certain emails and stuff, he's flat out telling Steve Bannon, I think it is, how Trump will be mad with him for being friends with him. So he's right. At some point, Trump did cut him off. The part Trump is lying about is how close they were. They clearly were very close. You got Epstein calling him a moron and stuff. It's hilarious. All right, let me run through some of this stuff. All right, breaking. Newly released documents of Justice Department show that investigators reviewing surveillance footage from the night of Jeffrey Epstein's death observed an orange-colored shape moving up a staircase toward the isolated locked tier where his cell was located at approximately 10:39 p.m. on August 9, 2019, which contradicts official accounts. Basically, there's now people that believe, based off of the files and stuff, this man is still alive. As a matter of fact, somebody posted this, since we now apparently live in a reality where the most bizarre possibility is what is real, we have to inform you that Jeffrey Epstein's Fortnite account, Fortnite being the video game, his Fortnite account is live and active in Israel multiple times in the last year. So if you see here, this is his account. Right here, this is his account. The name of his account is Little Saint Jeff. His password to his accounts was just lame, and his other password was vacation spot, but vacation is something. I forgot what it was called. So apparently his accounts are still live. They've popped up multiple times. I think somebody said that some of these accounts have been made private. He said, yes, he's still alive. It's clear this man did not do, we know he didn't do it. We know he did not take himself out. At the very least, somebody else took him out. At the more than likely thing that happened is he's somewhere in Israel just floating around minding his business. They also said they saw somebody that might have looked like him walking around with guards. Although some people said that was an AI image. I don't know if I don't think I put it up here or not. I thought I saw that. Hold on. Let me see. Oh, this right here is important. So these people, hey, took all the files in the dumps and they actually hacked his what's called file, or not hacked, but they was able to allow people to go into his other file. So you got here, this is his email account right here. This is his actual email account logged in, as you can see, Jeffrey Epstein. This is the last email he received from Cecilia Steen. You can go through all of this and see all the people he was talking to. I read through a lot of this, not enough to tell you what's the prime thing that's in here. Most of this is very light. They clearly didn't put most of the crazy stuff in here. And the stuff that would be dark, as they told you, they took all that stuff out or they redacted it. So we didn't get to see how bad it was in here. Then you have his drive, but then you have the photos. You can see all the photos in his account. And then they got it in order of who's in it. As you can see, Mick Jagger, Woody Allen. Woody Allen was his best friend. Woody Allen, the man who adopted a girl, slept with her, or molested her, should I say, married her, adopted 2 more girls, and then molested them. Ran out of the country, and somehow he's still not in prison. He obviously just lame. Bill Clinton, Steve Bannon, Walter Cronkite, Kevin Spacey, Bill Gates, Noam Chomsky, who was agreeing with Epstein about race IQ science. Yeah, he said black people just might be naturally dumber. Richard Branson, Alan Dershowitz, who only got one photo. He made sure that he wasn't on camera because he knew the operation, obviously. Then he got a bunch of random people on here who are nameless as of now. I already talked about the Northern Europe, the kingdoms over there are going crazy because the princess and the prince allegedly was dealing with Epstein. I didn't know that one of the princes of is it Norway? She married a black American shaman. These people are crazy, and this is supposed to be the royal blood, by the way. I guess they at some point with these so-called royal lines, because of all the inbreeding, you have to introduce other DNA in order to stop certain deformities from coming. So maybe that's what they're doing. So these are all the photos of all the stuff in here, a lot of the art, random pictures. Like I said, most of the stuff they don't have in here because it's been redacted or blacked out. So yeah. What is this? Oh, this was an email from Jess Staley. I'm pretty sure this is the dude who used to run or was a part of the, I don't know if he's still there or not, the dude who's Barclays, Brooklyn Nets, Barclays. This is what he had to say. He said, "You want to know why we're not Sao Paulo? Watch the TV ads on the Super Bowl. It's all about hip blacks and hip cars with white women. The group that should be in the streets have been bought off by Jay-Z." So he's saying that basically consumerism and the desire to maintain material has pretty much pacified black people to be okay with the situation they're in. So what we always say, which is white people's greatest fear, is black people realizing that they are how badly they've been fucked over, and just deciding to just blow the whole thing up. That's pretty much what he's saying. And he's saying Jay-Z sold us out. This is another email from Gene. Sorry, this is an email from Mark L. Epstein. They were talking about Gene. On Monday, I hosted a reception here for about 40 people. 15 were members of the Black Congressional Caucus. They came to NY to attend a Humpty Dumpty program at the UN. Yesterday, I told Gene, this is a guy who's a part of the Congressional Black Caucus, who was over the House the night before. He said to me, "You should have invited me. I would have put on a suit and tie. I know how to handle them. I would have came in and said, 'Hey there, niggers.' This is a black man talking to this other guy about how he would have helped them get something through, who's a part of the Congressional Black Caucus. This is why when people be talking about how these people are completely bought off by AIPAC and all this other stuff, they're not a representation for you."
I haven't seen anyone discuss the part of the Epstein files where he's writing to evolutionary biologist Robert Trivers about studying the bodies of Nigerian women because they are better designed for reproduction. He talks about the lumbar, the arch of their back into their behind, and how the curve of their hips is ideal for reproduction. And they casually discuss getting access to Nigerian women to x-ray them. They talk about a 14-year study they completed in Jamaica on the legs and knees of the best Jamaican athletes and runners.
We talked about this years ago when China was doing it during the Winter Olympics or something. I can't remember. China was doing the same thing.
I have not seen that discussed. And what I'm concerned about is what we're going to find out about how they were accessing black bodies, whether there was consent, likely not, as we can anticipate, how Bill Gates and his access and ownership of medical facilities probably provided access to black bodies. Tuskegee experiment, these types of behaviors have not ended. And yeah.
Well, he definitely had access to black bodies because in one of the emails that I read last week, he had African American men. They made sure to differentiate between African American men, by the way, and African men. I just want to point it out. But he had African American men on the island having sex with blonde white women. So, yeah, and then in the same email would say that Donald Trump don't like black women, and he said don't have black women on the island based off of certain men that he invite. So he had different reasons for having either one around, whether it be some type of study he wanted to do. Who knows how bad it got. What is this? Oh, yeah. Robert Maxwell, the person who we've talked about before, the triple agent, Mossad, MI6, whatever, associated with all these people. You see this email right here. It says, Robert Maxwell threatened Mossad. He told them that unless they gave him $400 million to save his crumbling empire, that he would expose all he had done for them. At that time, he had free access to Margaret Thatcher's drowned Downing Street, Ronald Reagan's White House, to the Kremlin, and to the corridors of power throughout Europe. Maxwell passed on all the secrets he learned to the Mossad in Tel Aviv. In turn, they tolerated his excessive vanities and insatiable appetite for the luxurious lifestyle in women. He told his controllers who they should target and how they should do it. He appointed himself as Israel's unofficial ambassador to the Soviet bloc. Regina says, of all the photos in that collage, Noam Chomsky raised my eyebrows. Say what? Yeah, the man who was supposed to teach us about speech and how this, what they call it, manufactured consent. Turned out that he had a lot of agreement with Epstein. Now, this is important. This Robert Maxwell is important because I did not know this. I did not know this. This is crazy. You know, in school, you know, middle school, high school, when you're in school, there's a book called McGraw-Hill. That's the book that the school give you for your education. That's how you. That's what's the stuff you learn. That is your curriculum, right? Robert Maxwell owned it. A Jewish agent owned American textbook curriculum. What's in that book came out of his thoughts or what he deemed should be in there. Which I'm pretty sure that means Israel gave us our education. to our kids. Robert Maxwell, whose real name is John Ludwig Hoch, was indeed a Mossad operative with deep tiers of Israeli intelligence. He acquired McGraw-Hill, the second largest textbook publisher in the United States, in 1988. This gave him control over a significant portion of the educational materials used in the American public schools. The implications are profound. A foreign intelligence asset shaping the curriculum for American children could supply, or could subtly or overtly insert pro-Israeli narratives, downplay historical events unfavorable to Israel, and promote cultural values aligned with Zionist interests. This could include skewing the teachings of Holocaust, Middle Eastern history, and even basic civics to favor Israeli perspectives. So the books your kids have been using in school, issued by the school, have been Israeli. They the ones that gave you the curriculum. That's crazy. These people, but when you say that these people are a part of everything, and I saw a comment from what's his name. Shout out to what's his name. I forgot who left this comment. Mainstream media, legacy media ain't talking about it. They ain't talking about it. Because the big name in the room that you would have to acknowledge is Jewish. Everybody associated. He even said Epstein, he wanted something done business-wise. And he said, don't use Africans, use someone serious, preferably a Jew. Virginia says, learning about the McGraw-Hill connection is this kind of proof of lies and propaganda. Yeah. What is this one? Let me see what this one is. I don't know. What is this one? Hold on. Oh, this is about Hillary. Yeah, this is about Hillary and what they did before. Virginia says, but these people will say, we don't believe you. We need more people. Exactly. Let me show you this. This was an email from Ghislaine's quote unquote nephew. Let's see what he had to say to Ghislaine. He said, hi, Aunt Ghislaine. I hope you are well. I look forward to seeing you when that might be. However, I'm not sure. I email you when I'm able to do something with you. As for my wish list of actresses I'd like to do nasty things to, though not complete, would probably look something like this. Natalie Portman, possibly Jennifer Love Hewitt, and Denise Richards. Now, I don't know if this is code because I don't believe she has a nephew. I don't believe this is a nephew, even though I know she has a sister. I doubt in an email this person will be telling this person, these are the women I want to do something nasty to. Here's a list. Because if this list is real and these are the real names, these ain't small names in Hollywood. These are considered, at least two of these people are considered like A-list celebrities. One of them is A-list because of who they married, at least. This is kind of, when people were saying forever that every woman in Hollywood is a prostitute, I mean, if this is real, as for things I like to do, whether it be in London, New York, New Mexico, or the Caribbean, not quite sure at all, though I look into it. In New York, besides see the sights, possibly some theater or something of that sort. Anyway, I've got to run. Thank you very much for offering all these things. All these things only add up to the reason I would be there to see you, your nephew. All right. I'm trying to run through this faster now. Oh, this is funny. I don't know if this one was real. I looked it up. This is supposedly an email between two different. It has something to do with Hillary and Bill. Hillary Clinton goes to the doctor for a checkup only to find out she's pregnant. She is furious. Here she is in the middle of dealing with Libyan mess, and now this happened to her. She calls home, gets Bill on the phone, and immediately starts screaming, "You bastard! How could you have let this happen?" With all of those going on, and now, with all this going on, you now get me, you get me pregnant. How could you? I can't believe this. I've just found out I have 5 weeks pregnant, and it's all your fault. Well, what do you have to say? There's nothing but dead silence in the phone. She screams again. Did you hear me? Finally, she hears Bill's very, very quiet voice and barely audible whisper. Who's speaking? These are the type of jokes they were telling in the email. So obviously this is a joke about Bill Clinton cheating on Hillary all the time to the point where he don't even know who the woman is on the phone saying she's pregnant. He also has a joke where he says, what he said, what is a good date? A good date is going out with a woman, going back to your room, and leaving some money on the table. I said, what is a date? And he said, what is a good date? Going out with a woman, going back to your room, and leaving a lot of money on the table. And saying, what is love? He said, going out with a woman, going back to the room, and not leaving money because of love. That's a Jewish invention. It's basically saying not giving the money because you're Jewish. That's the whole point of love. So making the money jokes all over the place. What is this one? The shelter film. Oh. This one is this woman saying that Hitler was taken care of by Jeffrey Epstein's family back then in the Rothschilds, that he pretty much was an invention by the Rothschilds. This woman said, first, it turns out to be 100% true. Hitler was selling his clothes and artwork and living in a shelter funded by Jews. Epstein, Rothschild, and Gutman, no conspiracy. The Epsteins were the Vienna bankers, bought their bank on the ring, hence still Epstein. Where are you? I'm in a bed with your code. Whether it's this way, whether it is a way to say that generosity is not rewarded, or that the conspiracy theory still exists, is quite pathetic. Ariane de Rothschild. That name and that family have been accused of everything, so it's not a surprise that something about them is in here. Let's see what else we got left in here on them. This is him asking for Jeffrey Epstein asking for money, $25,000, $11,000. Yeah, $11,000 and $11,400, and he wanted wired to his bank account, and the bank account's name is Baal. Yes, this Baal. He has a bank account named after the deity Baal. So, yeah. Anything else? This is the one where they were emailing, telling him they got videos of some torture and stuff. Yeah. Let me skip that one. We gotta get up out of here. Hold on. This is definitely one I gotta show. Y'all remember the Wayfair scandal? When the website had the cabinets and all this stuff up there for $10,000, $20,000, and people were wondering why these cabinets and these ornaments were so expensive. And then it turns out these cabinets and stuff was had the same name as actual missing people. Well, Wayfair is in the files as well, where they talk about expenses they made, purchases from the website. I think one of the people paid $10,000 for a dresser or something based off of the email. If you remember, this is what it was. The Wayfair website. I think it was 2 years ago, maybe. See here. A storage cabinet for $10,899. It just so happened to be named the same name as a missing person. I remember this was a big deal. And then there was an investigation that came out and said there was no ties to actual trafficking. So it kind of went away, but very strange. And the fact that it's in the Epstein files said there might have been some level of validity to it. Let me skip that too. Yeah, but with all that said, I'm gonna play these two videos right here because funny enough, it's been Caucasian people posting this video on social media. So I know the world is coming to an end when they post in Farrakhan. But let me play the video they're posting.
Jews are angry with me because they are the absolute master of their world. That's the boss. You notice Jews, they don't fight. They let the Italians, the Irish, the Polish do their fighting. When the Jew comes out to fight, you've gotten to the top. Did you see Raiders of the Lost Ark? Whenever you're getting ready to get to the real prize, that's when you got to go through the hardest test. That's when the big dragon comes out. Well, I'm telling you, when you bring the Jew out of hiding, that's the last barrier you got to get by. Do they control education? Do they control?
After we just saw, they control education, yes.
control the American Medical Association? Do they control the American Dental Association? The psychologists? The psychiatrists? Come on, they do. Are they over the teachers union? Mm-hmm. Who runs the big publishing houses in America? Who is masterful in all forms of communication? Who is controlling the movie picture industry? Mm-hmm. Who is controlling the record industry? You want to sing? I got a song for you.
Now, with all that, the fact that you have them posting, you have white people posting Farrakhan is hilarious. It's crazy. But it's getting to a point where, because of what's going on in the last couple of years, and I feel like Israel has lost a lot of their propaganda war in America. I see them putting all these commercials out. If you're on YouTube, any TV, whatever platform you're on, you've seen all these Israel Hamas videos where they say they take an Arab and send them to random places in Israel to prove how safe it is for Muslims, and how they're trying to, it's their form of propaganda, trying to change the narrative, but they've already lost the youth for the most part, I think, which is the big fear of theirs. So it's not, so seeing a lot of white people posting Farrakhan tells me that it's continuing to grow, at least, the enemy of my enemy type thing. And I'll end it with this right here. As Dave Chappelle said,
is this a rule? The rules.
Regina says the minister comes from a Jewish heritage himself. Yeah, isn't his father, I know he's Caribbean, but I'm pretty sure on one of his side of his family, his father, one is actually, like you said, Jewish. They come from that lineage. So even the person who they get all their teachings from when it comes to the Nation of Islam, it's, but sometimes, unfortunately, when you get to the top of the mountain, there's snow up there. So, yeah.
Is this a rule? The rules of perception. If they're black, then it's a gang. If they're Italian, it's a mob. But if they're Jewish, it's a coincidence, and you should never speak about it.
That is a fact. Regina says, yep, Trinidad, and it's his father and or grandparents from his own lips. Yeah, I remember, that's why when I seen those old clips of him saying that, the hair on our head is a curse, that nappy hair. Look at our eyebrows. Our eyebrows ain't like that. And it's like, what? It's almost like those have two different purposes. But anyway, so Farrakhan has said some wild stuff when it comes to blackness. So it's not a surprise to find out he's some mixed dude. But yeah. Yeah, he did. The nigga said, that's a curse. This nappy mess on our head. Like, what? This is in the middle of the black power thing. Niggas walking around, I'm black and I'm proud. Like, cut that mess off your head is what he's telling you. Like, all right, man. And it's funny enough, in the Nation of Islam, there's probably something that was the norm, keeping Caesar cuts. So it was even deeper with them. So unfortunate. Virginia said he did write a book, The Secret Relationship Between the Blacks and Jews, 3 volumes. Yeah. Obviously there's a documentary on it too. I think Real Black opened it. He posted one of them up. There's a couple other ones where they talk about the start of Hollywood started with Jewish people using black people to push their story, which they still do to this day. I just showed a commercial earlier of them using the black kid defending an Asian kid because we're so relatable. No, we aren't relatable. You're just here to provoke us to jealousy. Synagogue of Satan. Jenna says, I missed the first half and we'll watch the replay, and thanks for the show, dude. Appreciate that. Yeah, we're gonna get out of here with that. I said this probably wasn't gonna be the longest episode. Did I lie? Let me see if I lied or not. 2 hours exactly. It's about normal. Anyway, thank y'all for coming through. Appreciate the support. Hopefully enjoy the show. Had a nice little talk here. I'm gonna get out of here and let y'all go enjoy the rest of your day. Appreciate y'all spending a little time. Shout out to Craig. Shout out to Regina. Shout out to anybody who's in the chat. As always, y'all be safe. All praise to the Most High. Oh, Jen said, still no Travis. Now, look, I shouldn't say this, but I'm going to say it to put pressure on him. He's having a doctor's visit soon. And he said after that, he may be up to it. We'll see. It was supposed to be today, though, but I ain't say nothing to let him get away with it. But we'll see in a couple weeks. We'll see. Hopefully we get a guest to come through once, maybe. Anyway, y'all, happy Black History Month as always. Y'all be safe. All praise to the Most High. And peace, man.